To order the March 25th meeting of the BCRUA. The time is, I don't know, 6 something? 3? 6:03. All right. Call the roll. Director Kirkland.
Here.
Director Montgomery.
Here.
Director Schaffner.
Here.
Secretary Thompson. Vice President Flores.
Here.
And I'm here as well. Any citizen communication? All right, moving on. Item 4, consider approval of the BCRUA meeting minutes for January 28th, 2026. Have a motion,
Motion to approve.
and I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Call the resolutions. Item 5A, consider resolution by the Board of Directors of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority Incorporated authorizing the issuance of Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority Incorporated, City of Round Rock, Texas, contract revenue refunding bonds, Brushy Creek Regional Water Treatment and Distribution Project, Series 2026, establishing the procedures for selling and delivering the bonds, and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds. Do you want me to call 5B as well, or separately?
I think you call them separate.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Mr. Roberts.
Good evening, President, Directors. Yeah, is this thing working? There we go. So for this agenda item, which is the Round Rock refunding bonds, Gary Kimball with Specialized Public Finance is here to present that item, and Richard Donahue with McCall Parkhurst is bond counsel is here for any questions also.
Thank you, Sam. So each of you should have this summary of the financing components. And I'm going to speak specifically to the Round Rock transaction first. This board back in 2016 was asked to do exactly what we're asking you to do tonight, which is facilitate the refinancing of some previously issued bonds. So tonight's transaction would relate to bonds issued in 2016, and we would be refunding just under $35 million worth of bonds that have a coupon of just under 4%. In today's market, we should be able to get below 3.5%, which doesn't sound like a huge difference, but on almost $35 million worth of bonds, it's real money. So if you look in the box, those savings metrics, we would be issuing just under $32 million worth of bonds to refinance that $35 million up above. The way we do that is that we sell premium bonds. We will sell fewer than the face amount that we're refinancing, but they're going to deliver cash premium to us at closing. That's just a function of the way we price the bonds. And the debt service reduction, which is the key metric, is in the middle of that box. We're talking about almost $1.3 million worth of savings. So the debt service reduction relating to taking a half point off of $35 million worth of previously issued debt translates into about $1.3 million in savings. Now that's where we were about a month ago. We lost a little ground. The market has moved against us. Instead of a 333, which is where we were about a month ago, we'd be at about a 343 right now, the new rate on the new bonds. Still well below the almost 4% that is on the outstanding bonds. So savings today, if we were to lock in, would be just over $1 million instead of $1,297,000. That's still well above what we're proposing to get approval to move ahead with tonight, because an in-the-money transaction in our world is savings above 2% of the face amount of the bonds that we're refinancing. If you look at the bottom of that box, we were at 3% net present value savings a few weeks ago. We're at 2.3% today, but what we're asking for is a delegated authority. You're going to be delegating within certain parameters to your general manager. So this gives us the authority to move ahead with preparation of bond documents, with discussions with the bond rating agencies to basically bring us right to the doorstep of being able to lock the rate and lock the savings. We don't want to lose any ground because hopefully this is a temporary blip in terms of rates spiking because of all of the headlines. And when we come down to where we were really for the last 9 months leading up to about a month ago, if we can revert back to the norm, then the savings will be much better than they are today, but still above the threshold of 2% that we're asking you to approve tonight. So the resolution in front of you gives us a 12-month period within which to try to get the most savings possible out of this transaction. This is not a deal we could have done any sooner than today. Tax law restricts our ability to refinance previously issued municipal bonds until we get within 90 days of the call date on those 2016 bonds. That occurs in May of this year. So, we're in March. We're well ahead of the earliest possible time to grab this savings. But this is low-hanging fruit. It's our job to watch to see if you're in the money on a deal like this. And when you are, you're supposed to grab those savings. And we're here asking for your permission to basically get ready to do that at the earliest possible opportunity. So with that, that's a summary. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions anyone might have. But you've done this before. We're legally allowed to do it again, and we're here asking for your permission to do that.
Any questions?
Yeah, just make sure I understand correctly, but the 12-month window starts now with the decision of the board,
Yes.
but then you really can't do anything until May because of the,
We can lock before the middle of May,
Uh-huh.
but we can't close. And so
okay.
the plan today would be to try to lock this in last week of April, first week of May, so that we can close at the earliest possible opportunity in late May.
Or if that was not a good time, though, you still have a window to lock
If
thereafter.
the market keeps moving against us, then we're probably going to call Sam and go, let's step to the sidelines, let the market
Normalize.
normalize, and then we'll come back into the market, but we won't have to come back to you.
Good. And then just want to make sure our expected cost to us as a board is $150 to do this?
150 is baked into that savings. So your savings is net of those issuance costs. But yeah, to get the bonds to market, pay for the rating agency, pay for us, pay for bond counsel, pay for the attorney general, we're estimating about $150,000 out of a almost $32 million deal.
So and I'm just asking to make sure I understand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
No.
questioning. So,
All good questions.
So the $1 million savings, that is after the 150?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's
It's
it.
net
Thank
of
you.
the 150.
Any other questions? All right, so the resolution is before us.
Motion to approve 5A.
And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution passes. Always good to save money. Consider resolution by item 5B, consider resolution by the Board of Directors of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority Incorporated authorizing the issuance of Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority Incorporated, City of Leander, Texas, contract revenue refunding bonds, Brushy Creek Regional Water Treatment and Distribution Project, Series 2026, establishing the procedures for selling and delivering the bonds and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance, payment, security sale, and delivery of such bonds.
Thank you. And so all the numbers are bigger on the Leander piece because they have a bigger share of this project. Just in terms of relative outstanding total debt, Round Rock's at 113 million and change. Leander's at 214 million. Therefore, we've got almost $54 million, well, $53.4 million worth of bonds that are legally allowed to be refinanced on the Leander side of the ledger. Those rates are a little higher because they did their refinancing in 2017 Round Rock did theirs in 2016. So the Leander old bond interest rate is about 4.42. We think we can get that down to about a 3.50. And so we would need to issue about $49 million worth of bonds. The issuance cost would be about $300,000 on that much bigger transaction. But we're looking at over $3 million worth of savings after the issuance costs. Today, we're about 10 basis points different than we were when we ran these numbers originally and presented them to your finance committee. We'd be at about a 362 or about $2.8 million worth of savings. But that's still 4.1% of the face amount, so double, quote, in the money. So it's a deal that we would normally move ahead with in a market like this. All of the same rules apply. We can't close until May. We have a 12-month delegation authority to be able to step back if the market doesn't cooperate or continues to sell off. And then we'd wait until we get favorable economics that meet the parameters.
Pretty much the same thing. So I move to approve 5B as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Item 5C, consider resolution authorizing the president to execute a renewal form with Blackbaud Incorporated for the purchase of financial management software. Mr. Roberts.
This item is a renewal, essentially, of an existing contract with Blackbaud, who provides the accounting services software that is utilized by the City of Cedar Park Accounting Department and the BCRUA staff. And it's kind of a long story, but the original contract was approved by the board in 2021, and it was a 5-year contract. And the renewal contract before you tonight is also a 5-year contract. And we've been very happy with the software. But the reason it came about years ago is because there was no interface between, there was no way to interface the BCRUA staff to approve invoices and see and be able to search and query and stuff like that. And so because apparently before that it was very laborious to pay bills. And so the decision was made to go outside and do a third-party contract for accounting services, accounting software services. And so back in late 2020, early 21, the City of Cedar Park did a robust RFP, got, a lot of, I went back and looked, there was quite a few people that proposed on that project, and the staff went through all that, and they selected Blackbaud. And then, and as you can imagine, those things, once you select that company, the integration of it into the accounting department takes a while, and to set it all up for everybody to be able to use it, blah, blah, blah. Well, so fast forward 5 years, here we are now, and our contract expires in, I think it's April. Yep, April. And we, there's really no need to go out and do an RFP, and Steve's reviewed this. There's no legal reason to have to do that. We're very happy with the company, and we're getting, although the prices have gone up, basically inflationary increases, we're still happy with the pricing they gave us, and like I said, we are very happy with the way it works, and because we use it, we pay bills twice a week, and probably on average, I don't know, 20 or 30 or more. There's a lot of invoices that get run through the system. So anyhow, so the contract is in the, there's a resolution authorizing approval of it, and it's a 5-year contract for $105,622, and it's based. Oh gee, I think it's the payments are bi-monthly, but anyway. And it escalates slightly each year. It kind of tapers upward with cost of inflation, but there's no other cost of inflation adjustments allowed in the agreement, so it's fixed there. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay.
Motion to approve.
All right. And I'll second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. Item 5D, consider a resolution authorizing the president to execute supplemental contract number 18 with Walker Partners and Freeze Nichols joint venture for the BCRUA Phase 2 raw water delivery system project.
This, Aaron Archer with Walker Partners, who will be implementing this insurance contract, will be presenting this, and I will just tell you, it's a feasibility study for, installing and constructing on-site backup generators at the BCRUA Phase 2 water plant. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Sam. So the BCRUA Phase 2 pump station, when it comes online, we're going to have two separate power feeds from PEC that'll provide power to it. The primary feed is the nameless circuit. That's the one being built out as part of the permanent power project we've worked on for a long time with PEC. The backup supply will be Whitestone, so coming out of Cedar Park. But if you lose the primary feed from nameless, it'll automatically switch over to the backup feed. But as we all remember with Winter Storm Uri, there are occasionally events that come along that can essentially take down grid power. And in an event like that, there would be no power to the pump station, which could be problematic. Generator technology has come a long way, and there's been a real push in the industry to start adding generators to critical infrastructure as another backup alternative. Cedar Park recently completed the installation of some large generators next door to Phase 2 at their plant, which you can see as you pull up to the Phase 2 project. So the purpose of this study is to look at the feasibility of installing partial power through generators at Phase 2. The plan that we're looking at in terms of the space we have allocated would allow for likely the installation of 4 generators, which would be capable of powering 2 of the BCRUA Ultimate pumps, the large pumps, each of those having a capacity of 30 MGD. So about 60 MGD coming out of the Phase 2 project up towards BCRUA Water Plant and Leander Water Plant. And then it would also be capable of powering the three of the 4 Cedar Park pumps, which is basically the full capacity going next door to Cedar Park's plant. It'll also, the other benefit is with these generators, if we lost grid power, it would provide power to all of the auxiliary systems at the plant. So SCADA, unit heaters, everything you need to kind of protect the building and make sure we can see and understand and communicate with the pump station down there at the lake. So this is just a first feasibility study to figure out exactly how we would lay it out, what infrastructure is going to be needed, how we want to phase it in, and what the cost and schedule would look like for this project. We're not proposing that we're trying to change order this into Phase 2. I think probably we'll be viewing this as an independent project if it moves forward. This is really the first step to kind of understand and define what the project is so that we can come back and talk to you more about what it would look like to carry forward with the project and give you an understanding of the cost and schedule implications.
Question?
How long do you think that the feasibility study will take?
We're estimating that we should have it wrapped up about early summer, June timeframe.
Thank you.
If it's figured out that it makes sense to do this, how long, what does that buy us? 3 days, 2 days, 5 days with the generators if they have to?
That's part of what we're going to have to look at. Part of that is in the design in terms of how much fuel storage you include, assuming that at some point you would have to refuel. But the intent would be to get by kind of shorter blips of the time periods you were talking about, not likely to want to operate generators with partial capacity down there for months at a time.
Sure.
But we would need to do some estimates on how much on-site fuel storage we need to have.
And you may have said this and I didn't catch it, but this is your business. So right now, what is our redundancy, or what is our backup at the moment?
So right now, when the project comes online initially, you'll have 2 separate independent power feeds coming from PEC. The new circuit will provide power to the entire pump station. The backup circuit is partially redundant. So if you ended up having to move over with the automatic transfer switch to the backup circuit, there is a capacity reduction to operate on that circuit.
Thank you.
Any other question? All right. Have
Thank you.
thanks, Aaron. Resolution,
Motion to approve 5D.
right, I'll second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. Item 6. Oh, we haven't had a short one like this in a minute. Director closing comments regarding items of community interest. Director Montgomery.
Good night, all.
Vice President Flores.
Good night. Thank you for everybody for your work.
And Director Schaffner.
Good night, all. Thank you for coming.
And Director Kirkland.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time. And we are adjourned. 6:24.